Good evening. Welcome to the Barefoot Bay Recreation District's Board of Trustees regular meeting for May 26, 2020, held at Building D&E. This meeting is now called to order. As we do before each meeting, the Board of Trustees would like to take a moment of silence to remember all our military personnel, both past and present, who have or are still fighting to protect this great country that we live in. Also, let's remember all our Barefoot Bay residents, past and present, and let's keep in all our COVID-19 victims who did not survive, and all those who have, keep them also in your prayers. We will follow this with a pledge of allegiance led by Trustee Loveland. Let's now have a moment of silence, please. Mr. Loveland? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Trustee Compton, will you please do the roll call?
Yes, Chairman Klosky.
Here.
Trustee Mino.
Here.
Trustee Henderson. Trustee Compton is here. Trustee Loveland.
Here.
We have also with us John Coffey, our district manager, Stephanie Brown, our district clerk. We have Cliff Reppinger, our legal counsel, and we also have with us Matt Getz, our property services manager, as well as Rich Armington, our resident relations manager. We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Raj. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes, and there's two sets of minutes. One is May 5th for the board budget workshop, and May 8th the Barefoot Bay Trustees regular meeting. Chair will entertain a motion to approve both minutes. Need a motion?
I make a motion that we approve both sets of minutes.
Mr. Loveland made a motion. Second.
I approve.
Mr. Mano made second. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you. Mr. Loveland, you do the treasury report.
This is the Barefoot Bay Recreation District Treasury Report, May 26, 2020. Cash balances in general fund as of 5/19/20. Petty cash, $2,500. Operating cash in banks, MB&T operating account, $2,967,707.54. Interest-bearing accounts, SB&A reserve account, $697,314.02 for total cash balances in general fund, $3,667,521.56. Total daily deposits and assessments received for 5/1 to 5/19. Daily deposits, $50,683.19. Assessments received, $83,888.31 for total deposits of $134,571.50. Expenditures over $5,000 for period 5/1 through 5/19. Rossway Swan legal fees, $11,547.63. Complete Electric for the electrical panel in Building A, $7,260. ABM for irrigation system parts, $5,882.44. Florida Department of Revenue sales tax, $5,221.88. Payroll for pay period 5/10/20, $14,531.79. Paychecks, pay period ending 5/10/2020, $50,910.38. Total expenditures over $5,000, $95,354.12. I submit the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Randy. Motion to approve as read.
Make a motion to approve the
Luann made a motion. Need a second?
I second the motion.
Roger made a second. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is the audience participation. Oh, before we go to audience participation, Mr. Coffey has 3 letters to read.
Yes, the first one is from Mr. John Lavoy, 828 Tamron Circle. He'd like to state he's in favor of Shaw Medical Clinic to be in the shopping center rather than the jewelry store. Mr. and Mrs. Lavoy are current patients with Shaw Medical Group. Mr. Lavoy also feels it's a centralized location for all residents. Second letter is from Paul E. Sharkey, 8266 Brown Road. I live here in Barefoot Bay and would like to express an interest in whether Shaw Medical Group or jewelry store should occupy the vacant space at the shopping center. I feel it'd be more beneficial to the residents of our community to have a medical facility inside our community, especially seeing how most of us are senior citizens. It would be very convenient for those of us are no longer driving cars. It would also be replacing a medical facility that used to be here. Many people were used to the convenience of having a medical facility in Barefoot Bay. And lastly, a letter from Richard Schwatlow, 636 Marlin Circle. I understand that the last BOT board meeting members can but do not have to answer questions during audience participation. During a workshop, there is supposed to be a give and take between the board members and residents. When I asked about spending $100,000 on plans for the lounge that might not have a future use as planned, and the use of Building A as a temporary lounge, these were questions that the board brought up at the previous workshop themselves. I just wanted them to continue a discussion with the resident that they started. That is one of the reasons we have workshops, so residents can take part in them. Otherwise, just call them a board meeting if you are not going to reply to a question. Second statement, question I'm asking today is, why are we spending $2 million on the lounge in Building A? Can we not wait 6 months to find out how this virus could affect construction and design before we move ahead with spending this large sum of money?
Okay, we now go to audience participation.
Welcome to AT&T's teleconference service. Please enter your access code, followed by the pound sign. To join the conference as the host, press star. Otherwise, please enter your host password, followed by the pound sign. Please enter your billing identifier, followed by the pound sign. You entered 11109. To accept, press 1. Otherwise, there are 6 participants on the call, including you. You are joining your conference as the host. For a menu of available commands, press star pound.
Good evening and welcome to the audience participation. First, please state your name and address. You got 3 minutes.
Hello? Carol Joseph?
Yes.
Carol Joseph. 966 Waterway Drive.
Bob Drulard, 1050 Sebastian Road.
Ms. Joseph, go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Good evening to everyone. My name is Carol Joseph, and I've been in our community for over 35 years, active in many community projects, events, and also our library. The Pool 1 water aerobic class has been a very important part of my life for over 11 years. The class itself is over 25 years old and well attended. There are other pool classes, including Dawn Forsman's afternoon Zumba class, which is extremely popular and lots of fun. We have lap time at Pool 1 from 9 to 10. Water aerobic class is from 10 to 11 at Pool 1. These classes are open to all residents at no charge. Staying healthy and keeping our bodies flexible and strong is extremely important. Water exercising is much easier on our joints while working every muscle in the body. Working together to stay fit is a very positive thing, especially as we get older. The COVID crisis has changed our world. Our community trustee and management have been diligent in keeping us safe. Yes, we miss our activities and group gatherings, but we understand and appreciate all their efforts to get things back to normal as soon as the threat to our well-being subsides. We are government mandated that most of us are not aware of. They need to be followed by everyone, not just us. Many of us would appreciate getting back to our pool exercising, understanding there will be changes. I have a few thoughts on this. Perhaps all pool classes could be held at Pool 1 times or various classes posted ahead of time.
On the phone because I can't hear it on the radio.
What do you want me to do? Do you want me to continue?
Yes, please.
Okay. Possibly Pool 1, 9 a.m. to 10 for laps, 10:30 to 11:30 for water aerobics, 1 to 2 water Zumba, or whatever time Instructor Dawn schedules. Gentle walking from 2:30 to 3:30. This would give staff time to disinfect as needed between activities, as well as giving one class time to exit and then the other to arrive. A few chairs only, no lounge chairs, as residents are coming for exercise only. The number of residents in the pool is mandated by the state, and during the pandemic, there are new restrictions to keep us safe. My understanding is that we can have only half the number usually allowed at one time in the pool. If a certain class is too large to accommodate everyone, then we could split the class and have two separate times. There can be a list, and residents can request one of the times listed. This can be worked out between instructors and residents on a sign-up sheet so that there will not be any more people in the pool than are allowed. It does not have to be complicated. Working together is the key. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carol.
Okay. Dawn
Next.
Forsman is here to speak.
Hello, this is Dawn Forsman. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Please state your address. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to thank the Board of Trustees. My address is 1072 Manila Drive here in Barefoot Bay, Florida. I also have two other students who are members of my club present, Charlotte Gilson, and she lives at 714 Periwinkle, and Joanne Longley, she lives at 712 Wadelia Drive. I have an additional two other students who are in attendance. However, they are not outside with me. I very quickly want to give you a little bit of historical information because I know we have some board members. I'd like to ask you to accommodate me on this. I moved in permanently into Barefoot Bay and brought my experience of Zumba from community colleges, YMCAs, and senior citizen centers. Residents approached me about teaching classes, and I agreed to. After submitting a list of interested residents in 2011, we actually had over 63 people sign up and say they were interested in attending the Aqua Zumba class. The participants understand that the class is free, and basically we offer this 6 days a week, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. it is usually in the afternoon from 2 to 3 o'clock because that seems to accommodate all the pools as well as the residents. I've had many new students come into the class over the last few years, and unfortunately I've had several who had to leave due to health conditions. As Carol Joseph has stated, the actual conditions of our students that participate in the water Zumba classes cannot take land classes, nor can they walk or ride bikes because of the replacement of joints and also other medical diseases. I'd like to advise you that I am willing to work very closely with Carol Joseph in regard to meeting the guidelines for the COVID-19. And as an instructor who is certified and also been responsible for liability of my students, I have made it a very important point that they have to distance themselves. Even in our other classes, they would distance 3 feet. So it would be very easy to control to distance at least 7 feet or 6 feet. So with that in mind, I would like to say that the responsibility of the classes should be up to the instructors to maintain how many can attend as far as a limited number and who those people would be. Basically, they would sign up, they would call the instructor, or they would send us a text message to let us know that they were interested in attending. We would never have more than the possible 15 allowed, and we would also control the distancing, which we all have learned what social distancing is. So I want to thank all of you. I'm in total support of what your decision is, but we do have a number of people that are desperate to get back in the water so that they can get themselves healthy and strong and able to possibly do some things on land. I appreciate your time and thank you very much. And here are the 2 ladies who came to support the program.
Go ahead.
Okay, before you speak, can you turn your computer down because you're getting feedback from the delay in the system. It's hard to hear you speak. Please turn your volume off at home, or if you're at Building A, go outside.
I am outside. There's no computer by me.
Okay.
Thank you for your... Go ahead.
Please state your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Joanne Longley, 712 Wooddelia. I've only been here a couple of years, and I have joined both classes. I've done both classes, and it has helped me tremendously with my arthritis and joint problems. And exercise is the key to a healthy life. So I would really appreciate being able to get back into the pool and doing some exercise, whether it be for an hour a day or 2 hours a day. I'm just here to support these ladies and all of us other people who would like to get back to doing some healthy exercise and get some fresh air, as all the doctors recommend that we do. I thank you for your time. All right, and we're done. There's no one else from this group.
Is there anyone else on the line who'd like to speak?
Yes, my name is Jim Sukenik. I'm at 1103 Oriole Circle. I'd like to speak in favor of the reopening of some of the amenities on a limited basis if necessary. I'm in the real estate business as an appraiser, and have been in many other developments who have begun reopening their amenities, including their pools. In some cases where they have a very small pool deck, they're limiting, for instance, in one example, the pool itself in that development was about a third to half the size of our pools with a much smaller pool deck. In that case, they limited their occupancy to 10 people on that deck at any given time. Now, given the fact that we have some larger pool decks around the pools, and trying to meet the social distancing requirements. It could be done very inexpensively by marking either around the outside in the grass areas at pools 2 and 3 with simple wooden stakes where it would be approximately 6 to 8 feet apart. And if the fact that sanitizing the pool chairs and equipment are a concern, a simple solution to that is if someone wants to sun themselves or sit, I wouldn't necessarily advocate putting the pool furniture back out, but if they want to, if there's a concern of having enough staff to sanitize it, leave it stacked up and have somebody bring their own folding chair if they want to spend some time, which is one example or one possibility. But I think it's important to, not only the residents here to have some of the amenities back open, but when you've got the number of properties for sale that, when people are looking at the community, the amenities are important. So it would be nice to see that there's an active social life in the community as well as in pools and, things of that nature. As far as sanitizing the pool restrooms, I really don't think they get the same kind of use as even the golf course restrooms, which have not been a problem as I understand it.
Yeah, he's talking
So
about.
I would be in favor of reopening some of the amenities, possibly limiting the number of people there. And even just a couple of days ago, the governor, Ron DeSantis, indicated that some of the research and some of the results from the state medical people are that, number one, the virus is not transferable from surfaces as much as they originally thought, when they really didn't have a good grasp on the transmission. And secondly, in his own words, it's important to get people back outside where they're healthier than an indoor environment. And certainly the social distancing can be maintained. And one final thought that he said was that it was not transferred through the pool because the chemicals tend to kill it. So I think, given the fact that we're in an area that's had low transmission, very few numbers in our immediate area, with most of the infection being in more densely populated areas like Melbourne and Titusville, we certainly could look at and I would be in support of reopening the amenities time. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Anybody else on the phone?
Yes.
Please state
Yes.
your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Susan Kinturf, and I'm at 379 Egret Circle in Barefoot Bay. I have some suggestions and ideas for reopening the pools. I did send them to Mr. Coffey and Mr. Klosky today by email, but I do want to put them out there to the public also. The main concern I know has been about the people that work here. Well, one thing we can do is make sure that people wear masks to enter the pool at any time at this point. And then all residents should sign in with a badge number, and they must agree to the guidelines that the DOT sets up, and they must enter at their own risk. I do believe that we could put some swimming in from 9 to 10 and make it lap swimming. From 10 to 11:30 could be exercises only. From 11:30 on, it could be free swim, and then we could have time also for Dawn's class, which is a Zumba class, whether it be here or at another pool. And the reservations could be required in advance for the afternoon swimming, because they're doing that at the county pool, the aquatic center. They're doing reservations only, and they've had no problem whatsoever. People call, their reservation is there for the time that they're going to be there, and they leave after that's over. I also think that a 90-minute time limit would be good so that people get to use the pool.
and that the 27 limit for pool 1 would be good, and the other pools, whatever limit you put on there. Also, people can bring their own chairs, their own towels, and exercise equipment. And also, exit when time is up. Don't wait to be told to get out. Exit when your time is up. And I don't think people should be using the showers after their swim. Go home and shower at home so they don't have to sanitize those showers. And if anyone doesn't follow those rules and regulations, then they should, and if they give any hard time to the people that are on the desk coming in, then they should suspend the badges for 1 month if these people are not nice to the pool hosts and hostesses. So those are my suggestions, and I don't know if any of them are going to be put into effect, but thank you for your time, and I do hope that these pools reopen because we all need it. There's so many of us that need to be exercising in the pools. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Anyone else on the line like to speak? Anyone else? That's it.
Audience participation is now closed. Thank you very much. First on the agenda is the phase reopening discussion. John?
Mr. Chairman, you have in front of you the proposed four-phase reopening. It's solely up to the board what they wish to do. At the last meeting, we did reopen the beach. Mr. Getz, who oversees the pools, are here if you have any questions. One thing I'll just point out for the folks watching, listening at home, is that we cannot open the lounge or the 19th hole yet because we derive more than 50% of our revenue from alcohol sales, and even though some places up and down US 1 are open, they're in violation of the law. Mr. Getz and I will answer any questions the board may have.
Well, before I do ask for a motion, I'm going to have the board discuss all this, but I do want to say, too, that depending on how it goes, I did talk to Mr. Reppinger, and I will have to abstain from this voting here because somebody did call me. Matter of fact, there's two people that talked to me. One talked to me personally. One called me on the phone and just said that I'm not saying who or what, but one of the trustees did mention what they were going to talk about and everything. And to me, I don't want to know what anybody talked about, and the way he said he's supposed to call all the other trustees. I don't know if he did or not, but I did talk to Mr. Reppinger, and it'll depend on how it goes and everything. If I might have to abstain from it because that'd be considered a violation of the Sunshine Law. So let's now discuss, if you want to have a discussion on it, Roger, and you can discuss what you want to do. Go ahead.
Oh, you're giving me the floor?
Well, whoever wants to take it over first.
Well, I mean, let me just say, I mean, we could sit here and pontificate about this all evening, but I think the thing that's clear, there's an overwhelming majority of people in the Bay that wants to start to open the Bay back up, and I think that's what we need to do. And my I'm going to, and I know you're not asking for it, Mr. Chairman, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a motion that we can discuss, that we immediately authorize staff to implement Phase 2, as we have in front of us, with any limitations that may be in effect currently through the state, with, for example, the fact that we can't open the bars, and allow management to implement this in the way that they see fit, and manage it in the way that they see fit. But I don't know that. I mean, that's what the community wants, and that's what we're here to do, is represent the community. That would be my motion.
Okay. Okay, I did ask for discussion first, but if you are making that motion, I want to have a second on it, then you can have more discussion. Somebody want to make a second on it?
I'll second it for discussion.
Luann made a second for the further discussion. Anybody else?
Yeah, Phase 2? You're saying Phase 2?
Yes, Phase 2.
We haven't even opened Phase 1 yet.
I understand.
Okay. Right off the bat, I'm absolutely against that. I mean, it doesn't matter what the people here want. It's what is safe for the people here. I mean, this is we went since the last meeting till this meeting We went from 75,000 people in this country to 97,000 people have died. 22,000 people more have died. We have an old population here. I agree that we have to open things up, and everybody wants the pools and the things opened up. But we've been lucky so far protecting people because we keep them from all this social interaction. Social distancing did not work this past weekend anywhere. It was just horrendous. And if we open this thing up too quick just because some people get out and complain and they want the things open, then what are we as board members for? You're supposed to do what you think is right and what you think is correct for all the people. I'm absolutely against opening things up now. I can see opening up in a phased a process, but I will never vote to open it up right now.
Trustee Mino, I hear exactly what you're saying, but
let me add one other thing because you brought up what the people want, and I had told you before the meeting I went on Facebook and looked at that poll, and so less than 3% of the people in this community want the pools opened up. They want to go less than 3%. And so we're going to go because the people who we know want the pools open, we're going to say, let's just open it. Let's put a poll out there and say, how many people would like us to do away with the assessment fee? It'll be 100%. Should we do that? That's not the way you operate.
Yeah, it wasn't much more than 3% that elected you and I to be here. But
it
but
doesn't
we're
matter
here,
who
so.
elected me. When they elected me to do what I think is the right for the people, not what some people call you up and tell you to do. And I'm just not for opening right now immediately. I can see opening up in a couple of weeks into June and that kind of thing in phase 1. But you open up right now, you might as well write it out right now and say, what's the number? What's the number we think is okay if it hits here and all of a sudden people get sick and people start dying? What's the number that's acceptable? Because some people want to swim. I just don't see it.
First of all,
Luann?
I'd like to ask, what's the 3%? Where did that come from?
Got your mic on?
3%? What is that? 3% of what? Or 3% of people? What was there a vote someplace and 3% people want to open?
No, he's referring to a poll on social media.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, we got that straightened out. What I think we should do is I think we should go to phase 1 starting the 17th, 18th, 19th of June. Sometime
15th would be a Monday.
Yeah, but I don't want to start on Monday. I don't want to start on Monday. Start on Tuesday, because that's what I think. Anyway, Tuesday, the 16th of June. Start then, and I would like to also ask Matt if his staff has thought about what they're doing. Have they made up a list of rules? Are they, is that all organized? Are they all gung-ho and ready to rock and roll?
We can't have that discussion until we know you want us to open up.
Haven't they been talking about what they would do if we open up? And haven't they been talking about that?
Most of our pool hosts are laid off. It is our intent to let the people who do the work have a maximum input on how the specifics work. But it's premature to get everybody together for a group meeting until we know if we're opening up at phase 1, opening up at phase 2.
Okay.
That's why in the proposal I said we'd need it, at least 3 to 5 days to get things opened up. We're not sure who's all available right now. Some people may be traveling, but I have firm confidence that our pool supervisor and our pool host can come up with the best approach, because one of the things you've heard from the audience members is a big demand for the group exercises. Well, Mr. Get's been here longer than I, but I can tell you there's been multiple times we've had to call the sheriff's deputies because group exercise people and people who don't exercise in a group can't get along. So there is a conflict coming. If you carve out time for group exercises, we'll have more call-in people on the 12th of June unhappy with us. I'm not taking a side either way. I understand the approach, but people are very territorial about their pools, and we have on the agenda to do work on pool 2. I don't believe in a top-down approach on this to try to tell the pool hosts how to run the pools. I do believe that if you open this up on a Monday or Tuesday, Don't come looking for me in my office because I'm going to be very high profile at these two pools supporting our pool host, because history tells us there'll be people very unhappy with the rules.
Well, people are always going to be unhappy. That's the thing. But, okay, maybe they don't have an idea what they're going to do. But I think we should wait till the middle of June before we open up. And that'll give us a little more time, give the whole country a little more time, give people a little more time to get their act together.
You know, I think we're fooling ourselves if we think that Barefoot Bay is sitting here on an island and we're protected from everything around us. Barefoot Bay is already going out. If you have been out, you've seen. I mean, the beaches are full of Barefoot Bay people. The restaurants and the activities that are available here are full of Barefoot Bay people. So we all will have to make a personal choice. If we open the pool and we allow some number in, if we open Building A for small groups, we will still have to decide ourselves whether we want to go out and participate in that. But we're not preventing those people who are going to go out anyway from doing it. I don't know what I don't really understand what we can gain by not moving forward and starting to open some of the bay up, because people are going out. The people who work here are going out. The people who live here are going out. We can't keep whatever's out there out of Barefoot Bay at this point.
No, I agree with that. I think so. I just wanted to wait until the middle of June to start opening up. That's all I'm saying. I didn't want to start the next 3 days to open up. That's all I'm saying. I think,
My turn?
and I think that phase one is a reasonable thing to start, a reasonable place to start.
Randy?
Okay, I sit on that bridge between Roger and Mike, and I get it that the homeowners are going to do what the homeowners want to do. We cannot, under any thought or alternate world, control what the homeowners do. That also, I don't think, is our responsibility. I think our responsibility is to make sure that the bay is safe, is to make sure that we are fiscally responsible with the budget, and is to make sure that we have good management in place to manage the bay. And I think that probably is the limit and the perimeter of our responsibility as a board. Having said that, I think that it is our responsibility to make sure that our staff is safe and that we have control over. That is the only thing. I mean, we'd fool ourselves if we think we have control over. I mean, I agree with Roger. We'd fool ourselves if we think we have control over any homeowner that wants to go out and be around whatever, whether they want to go out and be in a crowd, whether they want to go out and hug their neighbor, hug turtles. I mean, it doesn't matter. They're going to do what they want to do. We don't control that. We do right now have control of the environment where they can meet. That's certainly true, and I agree with Mike on that. But my bigger concern is the security and the safety of the staff. The way I see it, if we said, okay, we're going to drop the hammer, we're going to open tomorrow, we're going to open in 14 days, we've got a lot of work on our end to do prior to opening. One, we've got to get staff. We don't have staff to manage these the positions. We don't have 2 pool hosts that could carry every shift every day. I don't know how many we need. I don't know what that's going to look like. I think John and Matt and Leslie will figure that out. I do think that we need to move forward and have a plan on when we're going to open or have an opening day so that Matt does have time to ramp that up and find out who's going to come back. We don't even know if they're going to come back. I mean, we laid them off. We gave them 2-week severance, and we don't know if they're going to come back. This is a new hiring process practically, except for they're probably not going to have to go through a new drug test. I don't even know what that looks like. So we're getting a little bit of the horse before the cart. I agree. Let's pick a date. Let's say we're going to open up, and then let's give Matt and John and his team ample time to get the staff that they need in place, to get the process that they need in place on how they're going to do it, how they're going to manage it, and how they're going to phase into it. Yes, we do need to get things open and moving again. I agree. I personally think that by rushing it. I mean, my personal thought is, yeah, we could do it too soon and open ourselves up to exposure. I choose not to involve myself in that, but I do have to involve myself in a vote on when we open and the safety of the staff. And that's really where I'm sitting. I'm not, I care for our residents deeply. I want them all safe, but I can't control what they do. But I can control when we bring staff back.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I have to apologize a little bit. I was really taken by surprise when Mr. Compton said Phase 2, so I apologize for that a little bit. I was thinking, we'd get into a good discussion about Phase 1.
I understand. There's no problem there.
What's that?
Yeah, there's no problem. I understand.
And I agree that we have to look at opening up. I'm for that. I am definitely for looking at opening up. I think what people have to realize, and goes to what Randy is talking to a little bit, we can't control what people do, and people say they want to go out and do things on their own risk. We're not concerned what they're doing on their own risk. We're concerned with people getting together and spreading the virus because they are at the facilities and amenities that we have that could spread the virus. That's what we're concerned about. We understand they can do things at their own risk. So again, I would be more than happy to look at, and as to how we do things, I agree completely with Randy and with Roger. That's entirely up to the staff. They come up with the plan. That's what we pay these people for. They're more than adequate to decide how we're going to run pools, et cetera, once we open. I would be more than happy to look, from my perspective, at an opening of Phase 1, opening the pools as we have in our plan, and look at sometime in June, whether it's the 15th of June or the 8th or 9th or 10th of June or somewhere in there where we get a chance to give them a week or two to put together the things, how they're going to do it. But again, I am not for opening any part of it like in 2 days. I'm just
Trustee
not.
Mino, just a quick question. What do you see the difference between Phase 1 and Phase 2 as being? I mean, what's the significant element of Phase 2 that would...
Well, I'm not sure. I'd have to go back through and start looking at each piece of this, but the point of it is that we haven't opened any of it yet, and Phase 1 does have a plan, the way we put it together, of how we're going to put people in, how many people. It has to do with the numbers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm leery of opening up at all right now. When you look at this, 17 states, since they have opened up, have had the highest increases in cases in the last month since they've opened up. That's what maybe I'm overcautious, but that's what I'm afraid is going to happen in the Bay if we jump into this too soon. I know they want to be open. If we jump in too soon and it hits a few people, it could spread too quickly here. That's my only concern. I know we have to open up, but I think we have to do it slowly and piecemeal and pick a date, 8th, 10th, 15th maybe, and say that's where we're going to do our Phase 1 opening.
Okay, there was a discussion on it. Like I said, I can only abstain from because of reasons what was told to me and everything, and who called me, and I talked to Mr. Reppinger, and he can speak for me what I did tell him and everything. But what I want now is a motion on the floor. Then what you're gonna do?
There is a motion. There is a motion on the floor.
Okay, but that was just for the motion was made for discussion. I want a motion. That was just to discuss this.
You can't do that.
Yes. she
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a motion made, and Luann seconded. So what I'm going to do now is, by voice count, Luann?
Before I vote no, let me hear, the motion was to open at Phase 2, but no time, but you didn't say any time, right?
I did not.
No.
Okay.
Although, let me just to qualify what I said. In my mind, the time should be however long it takes staff to put the proper elements in place to do it.
I agree.
Whether that's a week or whether that's 10 days, I don't know. That would, again, that's up to staff, to Mr. Coffey and staff to determine that.
I agree.
I'm just saying, let's move forward. There's really just because you hadn't had a chance to look at it, Trustee Mino, there's not a lot of difference in Phase 1 and Phase 2. In Phase 2, we're going to allow some small groups into Building A, and we're going to allow more people in the pool.
Okay, there was a motion made, so the discussion is over now, so now we have to vote on it. Thank you.
I vote no. I vote no.
Luan votes no. Randy?
Well, I have a problem with Phase 2 with the pavilion and with the other things that are opening in Phase 2. I'm okay with Phase 2 pool, but I'm not okay with the Phase 2 pavilions and the picnic area opening.
So your vote?
If it's an all or nothing, then I'm going to have to vote no.
No. Roger?
Yes.
Mr. Mino?
No.
And I am abstaining because of what I talked to Mr. Repinger about. So the vote is 3-1 not to open it as of right now.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure what you're talking about, talking to Mr. Reppinger about. What is that about?
Somebody called me, told me somewhat one of the trustees was going to do and everything, a discussion and everything, and I did talk to Mr. Repinger, and that's why I don't feel safe to do it because it was told to me, so I'm not going to go any further than that, though.
A trustee called you to say what he's going to do?
Not a trustee. A resident called me.
Oh, okay. I just didn't understand what you're talking
Because
about.
I did make a thing, and then, of course, Mr. Repinger called me, so I talked to him about it. Go ahead. The motion did fail because it's 3-1 it failed.
Okay. Now, I can make a motion now? I would like to make a motion that we start at Phase 1 and open the pools the 16th of June. That's my vote. That's my...
There's a
Before you look
motion
for a
made.
sec-
There's a motion made on the thing to open, going with Phase 1, starting on the 16th of June. Is that the day you'd want to have it opened?
You just mentioned pools. Are you limiting your motion to pools? Or are you?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Oh.
She made.
No, I'm sorry. I make a motion that on June 16th, we open the bay starting at Phase 1.
The pools.
No, all.
No, the whole, whatever is listed
We
in
can't
Phase-
open the
It's
lounge
not,
and any of
it's
that
not
stuff.
listed, it's not listed on Phase 1,
Okay,
the lounge
you're
and all
going
that
with
stuff.
Phase 1. Okay.
Phase 1.
I understand. Okay,
Okay.
there is a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Before a second, is it proper to ask, or do you, Cliff, do you amend a motion after you approve it, or can you ask to have it amended before you get a second?
You can do it either way. You can either ask the motion maker if they'd be willing
and
to amend it
so
so that
normally
you can second
okay,
it.
we used to amend them after the, okay, so
can do
a
it
question
either
I
way.
would have before I would have for a second, why the 16th? I guess that's my question.
Yeah. I don't know, because I just picked it. It
Now,
has
now
nothing
John
to do
had
with
put out a thing saying you would rather have these things on a Monday, Wednesday, or,
A Monday through Wednesday would be preferable to
oh,
let, Matt,
Okay, well-
Leslie, and I be here in case any problems.
No disrespect intended, but I think throwing a date out there is, it's ridiculous.
I'm sorry?
We need
Is
to
what?
let John.
What's
We need to
ridiculous?
let John decide when John and the staff need to decide when these things, we need to just make a motion.
but
Are
I
we
don't
gonna
think you want to,
Phase
do you,
1?
John? I think you want us to do it, don't you?
You want us to give you a date?
That's what I
Yes,
thought he
that's
said.
The earliest we could reopen is the 1st. The most comfortable reopening would be the 8th.
Would be the what?
The 8th, Monday, June 8th. The 16th is just basically, you wouldn't really, you'd have like a week of downtime before you really get into the planning and stuff. The one thing that Ms. Henderson, because she talked with me prior to the meeting about this, is the one benefit of the 15th or 16th is it gives you a safety valve on the 12th meeting. If infections start going up, you could pull the plug on the reopening at the last minute. But the 8th would be my advice if you're looking for a date where staff has plenty of time to get planning and procedures in place and have a sound reopening.
What date? Which one?
June 8th.
8th?
8th.
Luann, that's 2 weeks from now. Would you consider amending it to the 8th?
Sure. Sure.
If she amends it to the 8th, I would second it.
Okay. I amend my.
Repeat your motion again.
I make a motion that we open the bay with Phase 1 starting June the 8th.
And I would second that.
Mr. Marino seconded. Any discussion on that motion?
Okay, yeah, let me ask for an amendment. So if we're going to designate the 8th as the day that we open Phase 1, then let's go ahead today and establish the date that we go into Phase 2, pending other issues or other problems that may come up, which we will be able to discuss in our next meeting.
I think that's premature. I think that's premature to do.
I do too. I think that's way too premature.
You're trying to say it's premature?
The reason I say it is because
we could be closing it all up by the 10th or 12th.
It could be. I mean, if things happen here, like we've watched on TV with people getting insane and
Roger,
you
made the motion and June the 8th to open in Phase 1. Best thing, if that's the way you want, you can go with Phase 1 and what, 2 weeks from now, probably the first week in July, you can go with Phase 2. Go ahead, John.
For the folks watching at home, Phase 1 is proposed at no group activities in the pools. Is that what you want, or do you want to take the advice of the residents who called in and have one of the pools be the group activity and the other the sunbathing activity?
I seconded a motion for Phase 1 as it's written.
Okay. So, again, you made the motion. You seconded. Mr. Mino seconded. Any other discussion on that motion?
Yeah, I mean, I think the people that have shown up and spoke are the people who are looking for the exercise. And I agree. If we're going to open it, let's open it up to all. But if we open it up with no group activity, meaning no Zumba class and no aerobics classes, I'm not comfortable with that. I think that they should be allowed to have their class, but they should be limited to the number of people that we've got in Phase 1.
We can't. If you're going to go with that, I just forget about. That's my thing. Just forget about Phase 1. Jump right into Phase 2.
I think that's what Roger was going for.
Yeah. So in other words, instead of going with Phase 1, why don't you, if you want to rescind your motion, make it Phase 2. It's not going to change that much.
But I would only vote for.
We defeated a motion for going to Phase 2.
We did. Yeah, but they do it as right now.
Well, how many times are they going to? How many times are they going to?
We just defeated that motion.
Yeah. How many times are they going to bring up the same motion? I mean, we already defeated it once.
Well, I
Are
mean,
they going to bring it up again?
You have to understand what the difference in the two is. I mean,
I think we understand the difference. I think we want to start. As I understand it, what I want to do, I want to start this slow. If people want to go and exercise at the pool, then they can go and exercise at the pool. If they need to have somebody there, they'll have to wait 2 or 3 or 4 more weeks until somebody's there. I want to start out slow. I want to make sure that this is going to work, that we're not going to have 750,000 people with a virus here that was unnecessary and all that other stuff. I want to start slow, and that's how I feel about this.
Again, I think we're even jumping the gun going to this Phase 1 as it's written, even early, but I'm willing to accept that and say let's try it and even go to an earlier date of the 8th of June to see what happens. And that's the important thing, to see what happens. So, again, that's also, I supported this motion going to Phase 1.
Okay. There is a motion on the floor. So if there any other discussion on that motion? If there is none, I will add with a voice count again. Mr. Mino?
Yes.
Luann? Roger?
no.
Randy?
No.
You're voting. Can I just say one thing? You're voting no. So you're voting no. So now we're not going to open anything.
I didn't vote yet.
does that make any sense to anybody?
He has to vote yet.
No.
I will go vote for yes to open it up on the 8th of June because it's got to be done sooner or later, but if we do, we can do it. And are we going to have two of the pools open, John?
Yes, our intent would be pool 1 and pool 3.
Pool 3, can I just ask the question, can the pool 3 be used for the Zuma and to do the exercises there?
That's why I raised the question before the vote. It appeared the majority of the board didn't want the group exercises.
No, we're looking we're looking to start out small to see what happens, and we can always change it as we go from there. That's the whole idea.
When we get to phase 2, Joe, we can
have that people there, and there'll be a.
Mr. Chairman, I thought you abstained from the vote,
No, the first one I had to do it the first.
but it's all on the same topic.
Mr. Reppinger?
Well, let me just clarify. Have you registered a vote yet? I didn't hear whether.
I voted on that second motion.
The option is, and it's to clarify what we talked about, which I understand is confusing. Mr. Klosky was contacted by a resident to advise him, and I'm not 100% sure of what the scope was, but at no point in time did any trustee, either the trustee that had stated a position, nor did Mr. Klosky ask this third party to advise Mr. Klosky what the trustee intended as part of this discussion. The option that there was no intent on either party's part to convey any information back and forth. Therefore, from my perspective, I don't necessarily see it as a sunshine law violation. In an abundance of caution related to the discussion, Mr. Klosky asked whether he could abstain, and I said, that's your option as far as whether you desire to abstain or not. Without getting into the substance of the details of what the third party said, the vote and the motion that was just made wasn't necessarily the substance of what I understand was conveyed between what a trustee's position was and what Mr. Klosky heard. So the option is his as to whether he feels comfortable voting or not, and so it appears that on that particular motion, Mr. Klosky feels comfortable voting.
This one was not directed to me that how I should vote or what I should do and everything. This is on my own.
Right. It was an unsolicited comment from a third-party resident is what it was.
So if it followed then the motion did pass 3-1, but 3-2. I'm sorry, 3-2, to open up on 8th of June.
And that's to open up as written in phase 1, is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's the way Luann stated it. So. Okay, so that is the end of that discussion. Thank you for the vote.
You can entertain another motion if there's something else. No.
Cliff, can you explain? I don't want to take long. Can you explain really quickly? So if a resident calls a trustee and says, "This is what I want you to do," I'm not sure.
No, you can't. What we're talking about is we were talking about a conduit. So there's a prohibition.
Well, they called and said what another trustee is going to do.
There's a prohibition under the Sunshine Law where you could not contact a resident and say, I'm going to vote or I'm going to raise X issue on the agenda. I would like you to go to Trustee Henderson and tell her exactly what I'm going to do. You can't use that third party.
I see.
The instance that we're talking about was a third party who had spoken to a trustee who then went to Mr. Klosky and said, unsolicited, this is what I believe trustee so-and-so is going to do. And Mr. Klosky felt uncomfortable with that because he didn't ask for it and it was unsolicited.
Okay.
That's not necessarily a violation, but I understand where the uncomfortableness came from.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is the building area renovation project authorization for Chairman Klosky to sign a contract. John?
General Counsel Reppinger and Dave Park of the Parkett Construction Company have ironed out the few remaining details. Staff recommends board vote to authorize Chairman Klosky to execute the contract.
Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we authorize Chairman Klosky to sign.
Luan made a
Excuse me.
motion. Need a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is the pool 2 canopy. John?
Anybody who likes Groundhog Day will like this agenda item. Long story short, multiple quotes have been given, and we've had difficulty either getting vendors to honor their quotes the way it was designed or actually do the work that we've signed quotes for. We've tried previously to solicit individually the aluminum structure and the concrete pad. We thought we had 2 vendors late last year. We could never get them to work together to pull the permits, so Mr. Getz went back to one of the original bidders and asked them for a complete bid for everything. Endeavor Construction came in with a bid at $15,225. It's approximately $1,000 more than what the previous 2 bids were together. If the board wishes to approve this, I need to amend what I wrote in the agenda memo, but you would need to withdraw the awarded contract for the canopy to Hausman Aluminum, award a new contract to Endeavor in the amount of $15,225, waive the second bid requirement, and direct staff to execute budget transfer from contingency in the amount of $1,225. If you're interested in details, Mr. Getz can give about a 3-hour discourse on this project that started back about 3 years ago.
John, before the trustees talked, before I talked in the office about what I would like to see if the board is interested. This has been going on for 2 years. This signed a thing there last year to authorize this one company to do all the work, and there's differences between the guy that pouring the concrete and all that stuff. Nobody wants to get along with anything, so I looked at it this way. Instead of going with this thing is not really a big priority, if we scrub this project, put this into the money back into the contingency, and use this money to spend it on the beach project, and we amend the budget and everything, I would be happy if you would do that, but it's up to you, up to the board if they want to do that. I'm leaving it up to the board what they like to do with this.
Well, to get this into discussion, again, we need a motion. So, and I understand I have a lot of questions to ask about that too, Joe, but I would make a motion, you accept staff's recommendation, and then go to discussion, and then we can, put it down and then go to something different, because this is recommendation out there.
And I'll second Mike's recommendation or his motion.
Right.
Okay, second. Okay, so is there any discussion
So with
on
that,
this?
Joe, I guess my question is, what exactly is this?
In November 2017, trustee-elect Wheaton suggested adding a aluminum structure with concrete padding under it in front of pool 2, so when it's lightning, people wouldn't have to get out of the pool wet and get in their cars. They could stand under this structure and ride out the storm, then get back in the pool.
And so this has been on the drawing board for a couple of years.
Yeah, back, some of the ups and downs included when the board was pursuing a $9 million bond. This was a low priority at the time, and then when the bond was killed and things got shuffled, this got shuffled back. We circled back to it last year as we knocked out larger priorities, and it's Mr. Getz has done everything but go out and buy the the metal and the concrete bags to build it himself.
So I'll let someone else ask, but again, probably others know more about this than me. So right now then, I know you have a recommendation because it was out there approved, but right now, where's this as a priority item right now?
My guess from previous board meetings that this is a relatively low priority given the conditions of the pandemic we're in and the uncertainty.
Okay.
Folks who use Pool 2 are probably throwing things at their computer screen right now because it's probably a priority to folks who spend a lot of time at Pool 2 in the summertime.
Well, the thing is, excuse me for interrupting if I did, but I go to Pool 2. To be honest, I'm for scrubbing this too, because first of all, Pool 2 is going to be closed to do the pit for who knows how long anyway. I'm sort of for tabling this again and waiting it out. There's no use spending this money now. That's my opinion.
Roger?
Look, Trustee Henderson uses that pool. I'm going to agree with her recommendation. She's the expert here tonight on that.
So, and Mr. Loveland?
I never thought standing under aluminum in a lightning storm was a good idea, but
So,
yeah, I agree with Luann. on
okay, so
this.
in other words, what I did ask the board, if we scrub this project,
But Joe, you have to vote on this motion first.
okay, I apologize, yes, you do. Okay, who made the motion?
Luann and I somebody said, Roger seconded, I think. Yeah. Somebody did. It's been,
Okay, so all in favor,
You could either vote on the motion or the maker of the motion could withdraw the motion.
right.
okay, so if you want to withdraw your motion,
Wait, I think I made the motion just to get it out for discussion, assuming it would be voted down. So,
but you can withdraw the motion if you want.
I'd withdraw the motion.
And I need to withdraw, the second's got to be withdrawn?
It was Roger. It was Roger, I think.
I'll
Roger, it was
withdraw
Roger.
my second on that
Okay,
motion.
that was Roger, okay.
And then
now-
I'll also, and to follow up, Chairman Klosky, I'll make a motion that we take your recommendation, roll this over, and use it for the beach project.
I'd second that.
Okay. Any further discussion on that motion? If none, all in favor of that motion with a voice count, Randy?
Aye.
Aye.
Luann? Roger? Okay, Roger said, and then Luann said yes? Mike?
Yes.
And that's unanimous, 5-0 unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we are going to new business, FY21 proposed budget mail-out. John?
As part of the policy manual requirements for the budget process, this agenda item will authorize approximately $2,900 cost to print and mail out the summary proposed budget that I placed a copy in front of you. That is just a sample stamp. It's not the one that will be used. Staff recommends the BOT approve the proposed budget mail-out as attached and announced at 7 p.m. in Building D&E on June 23rd as the date and time of the public hearing for adoption of the annual assessment in addition to the adoption of the FY21 budget.
Chair will entertain a motion.
I'd make that motion. As I said earlier, this is very simple, and I think it's a good way to send this out.
Mr. Mino made a motion. I need a second.
I'll second.
Luann made a second. No, any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. Next is the shopping center. Shopping center lease for Building 1, Unit 2, and Part of 3, the old barber shop. John?
Okay. Chairman Klosky, trustees, and folks watching at home, the two proposed tenants have requested to speak on this. If it's with your permission, I'll call the first one, Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
John, who are our two tenants on this?
Shaw Medical, and then Saintly Jewelry.
Thank you.
We're sorry.
Gotta dial 1. You didn't expect anything to work right tonight, did you?
Hello?
Oh, Mr. Shaw, this is John Coffey. You're on
Yes, sir.
You're on speakerphone with the Board of Trustees. Go ahead.
Okay, well, first I'd like to thank the Board of Trustees for allowing me a few minutes to speak. Regarding my proposal to rent out the old barber shop. Since 1973, Barefoot Bay had a doctor's office on community property up until 2016. As a homeowner of Barefoot Bay, I understand the importance of having a medical facility that is within our community. As the owner of Shaw Medical Group, we have been actively pursuing to become Barefoot Bay's next medical group to provide care to the residents of Barefoot Bay. Shaw Medical Group has served Barefoot Bay since 2017 at our location in Barefoot Bay Medical Park. We are continuously providing medical care to over 1,000 patients who are current residents of Barefoot Bay. We are a family practice and a walk-in clinic that provides primary care service and after-hour care for established patients. We also provide doctor visits for homebound patients within the Bay. With our 5-year lease proposal, I hope the board sees that Shaw Medical Group is committed to Barefoot community. We have conducted COVID-19 tests for Barefoot Bay residents at no cost. We've provided first aid tent for the Barefoot Bay Music Festival for the last 3 years, also at no cost. The amenities that the BOT has brought Barefoot over the years is unparalleled compared to similar communities. The importance of maintaining key essential businesses within the community is what makes Barefoot Bay paradise. Shaw Medical Group has provided years of compassionate care to Barefoot Bay residents and hopes to continue the commitment. You as the Board of Trustees must decide as to which business is essential to continue to fulfill the needs of our community. Our location is also golf cart accessible for convenience. However, we hope with a centrally located office in the heart of Barefoot Bay, it will make access to health care that much easier. Shaw Medical Group supports your decision in this matter, and we look forward to the opportunity to provide years of quality and compassionate access to health care for Barefoot Bay residents. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Shaw? No? No.
Thank you, Patrick.
All right, thank you, John. Have a good day.
You don't have to press 1 on that.
This is Mark.
Mark, this is John Coffey. You're on speakerphone with the Board of Trustees. Go ahead.
Thank you, John. I'd like to start by thanking the Board of Trustees for giving me a few minutes to speak. My wife and I started a business called Sanity Jewelry 5 years ago in the town of Grant. We have a store that's currently located across on US 1, right in front of the Old Fish House restaurant, which most of you are probably familiar with. When we started our business 5 years ago, we started as an online business, working out of our house, and then we ended up with the store in 2015. And after that, we started a traveling business. So in actuality, we operate three different kinds of businesses inside of our jewelry business: our online business, our storefront, and then a business that travels around the country. Our proposal is very simple. We want to open our corporate office there. We want to use the office space as an office. We will conduct our day-to-day business. It won't be a retail. We won't bring increased traffic into the parking lot. Or use the facilities there as far as the parking spaces, et cetera, are concerned. We'll have 2 or 3 people working 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock. For the most part, you won't even know we're there. We'll show up and conduct our day-to-day business. We will use the majority of the building as a area for our jewelry, to pack our jewelry, pack it online. The location is perfect for us. We do a tremendous amount of business with Barefoot Bay residents, have an unbelievable reputation in the community. We are everything from a corporate sponsor of the Brevard Sheriff's Office to every charity you could think of we've donated to and participated in the past 5 years. In our conversation, we talked about maybe we could have a few people call and speak on our behalf and talk about the kind of business we have and the kind of business people we are. But anybody that, I know social media is a big thing in all of our lives now, and we have 106,000 fans, likes on Facebook page, that little small business in Grant, Florida. And we have a 4.9 star rating, which is almost impossible on social media today, simply because of the way that our world is. Now, with all of that said, there's not one bad negative comment. Out of 106,000, you can't go from page to page to page to comment and find one person that has a bad word anywhere to say about Sanity Jewelry, its reputation, us, how we take care of our people, and the kind of business we are. We have a very simple proposal. We would like to move our corporate office there. We live in Grant. My wife was raised in Grant. We support the Grant Seafood Festival and everything happening in our community. We have a proposal for a 3-year lease, which is negotiable. It just happened to be the number that we picked at the time, with 2 renewals after that, or chances for renewals after that. Our build-out is simple. We won't turn the building into something that you have to worry about what it might turn into again one day. We plan on leaving it like it is, with obvious internal improvements just to make it look more like a professional business office. But there's no demo involved. We have down as our move-in date as request is July 1st. And we've discussed that could be any time for that matter. So our ability to move in is quick. Our lease is simple. We don't require very much. We are just simply looking for a place to move our corporate office and to have a community. We love Grant. Huge support from the Barefoot Bay community, and we'll do everything we can to offer the support back. Our proposal is very simple, and that proposal is move our corporate office into the old barbershop space. The Wells Fargo that we bank right next door to is we have an unbelievable relationship with, and it's just a perfect solution for us. So, John, I would just like to thank the board for their time and their consideration. I think that we're a small local business, and I think to be giving the consideration of a small local business to have the opportunity to move into an environment like Barefoot Bay and become part of that community, I think is an honor all by itself, and we would do everything we could to pay back that opportunity if given to us.
Thank you. Is there any questions for him? Anybody want to ask a question?
I have a question. It's only, I couldn't understand you. I'm sorry, I couldn't understand some of the things you were saying. But it's only the corporate office. You're not going to sell jewelry out of there. I mean, you just.
No, ma'am. No retail at all.
It's only your corporate offices.
That's exactly right. There won't be any retail business there at all. There'll be no shopping. It will be our online business will come out of there, which means obviously things are shipped but there will be no walk-up retail business at all. No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
So in other words, considered like a storage area, right?
Yeah, it will be. There's anybody that's not familiar, it's almost 2 units. The smaller unit will be the corporate office itself. On the left-hand side, there's a back room. We'll use that for our storage area, obviously alarm the building and clean it up, etc. And then we'll show up every day and we'll pack our orders. Hopefully that little post office around at the barbershop opens. And if that's there, that would be even better for us. And we'll pack our deliveries and answer our telephone and pay our bills. That will become our corporate office.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thanks for the consideration. Thank you, too.
I think the board can see why I didn't make a recommendation because both of them are very similar in structure. Shaw Medical is a little longer lease. The jewelry has a little bit more upfront cost to us because they came through a realtor. Overall, they're very comparable. Both businesses, I think, would be an asset to the community. It's ultimately decision of the board which one they think is the best fit for the community.
John, Shaw Medical Group right now is over in a building by the library. Are they over there? And so they want to move that office here. And do we still have the other proposal on the table from the other medical group?
The Stewart land lease is probably going to come to the board in the second meeting in June.
So that would be another medical group right on the other side of the parking lot from where this barbershop is, if I understand it
correct.
Right? Does that any concern of ours?
I don't think so. I think a community of 5,000 year-round residents, 10,000 in the wintertime can support both of them.
And I wasn't suggesting that it is. I was asking you the question.
Yeah.
So
neither one have, at this point, requested any type of exclusive deal for medical care.
And final question. So Shaw has been here in the Bay for how long?
About 3 years. Originally, about 3 years ago, they had a proposal for where Holy Cannoli is going in, but the board at the time couldn't reach a deal with them, and so they leased the space up by the library.
Chair is now going to entertain a motion.
Yeah, well, let me say this. I think they probably would both be great tenants, but in my mind, Shaw Medical Group clearly will be someone who is serving the community here. It's a service to the community, and for me, that takes precedence. So my motion would be that we go forward with a lease with Shaw Medical Group for that office space.
I would agree with that. I would second that motion.
Roger made a motion, second by Randy. Any discussion on this motion?
I agree with both of them. As I listened to both of the proposals, they both would be fine. There's nothing wrong with either one coming. But again, as I asked my questions, and Shaw has been here, the things they've done in the Bay itself, I can see that.
All in favor of that motion with a voice count? Luann? Yes. Roger?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Mr. Mayo?
Yes.
Yes, so unanimous. Motion passes. 5-0.
And just for the folks watching at home, this will come back for the signature authorization.
Right. Okay, thank you. Next is the shopping center rent reduction request from the 3 tenants. John?
Yes, last week we received requests from the owners of the food store, the salon and barber, and RJ's 2002 restaurant for up to 3 months rent forgiveness due to the impacts of the coronavirus pandemic. For the sake of clarity, I showed Sunshine Realty cost of revenue, I should say. They have not requested any rent abatement, and also the ownership has recently changed hands. Staff requests direction on this matter.
My opinion on this is that they want 3 months free rent my opinion is give them 2 months half rent. I don't think we should
Half
give 'em
price?
half for 2 months.
2
I don't
months?
think. And also, the Sunshine Rental. That was he's just taken over her lease, right? I think we should give him half rent for 2 months. Also, I mean, he's
how
in
many
there
are
only gonna
asking?
complain
How many are asking for?
3 of them.
3 out
the
of 4.
food store, the Barefoot Bay Salon and Barber, and the RJ's restaurant.
So Sunshine Rental is not asking for
Sunshine is not asking for anything.
No,
the,
but as
the
soon as you give
restaurant
it, you
and
give
the
it to
food
other
store
three.
have been open the whole time.
The food store was open. They've had impacts because of people being laid off and reduced hours in the community. The restaurant was closed for in dining for several weeks, but they did
Have takeouts.
limited takeout, and the barber shop
Has
was
been
shut
closed.
down for
I
about
see.
6 weeks.
How does this affect us if we're considering rentals? Giving up rent for 3 months. I mean, how does this affect us financially? And
The chart up there, if you were to include Sunshine Rental, it's about $6,700 for every month free rent cost. So if you wanted to give the 3 months free rent, you're pushing $20,000 in money that we won't receive the rest of the fiscal year. Or if you, Ms. Henderson's suggestion of 2 months half rent reduction would be $6,700 cost for the 4. If you exclude Sunshine Realty, it's $6,000.
$6,000 total for
2 months, 50% off for the 3 business owners would be about $6,000 in lost revenue.
For the 3 months.
and why didn't Sunshine ask? I mean, they still did business.
Because he's new.
People are still selling homes, correct?
The guy's new. As soon as you give it to the other 3, they're going to come in here and go. Wah.
Yeah,
You might as well give it to Sunshine and get it over.
And
with.
I think part of it is their request for a rent abatement was the impacts of what has happened to them in the past. As I believe as of today, the person who owns Sunshine Rental during the shutdown for the pandemic is no longer the business owner. It's sort of like if I sell you my used car, I don't care if it breaks down the next day as long as I get your
I can't
check.
find this on the agenda packet. It's so long. What did you have a recommendation on this?
Page 127.
Not really.
127?
I think what Ms. Henderson proposed, 50% over 2 months is a reasonable approach. All 3 of the businesses prior to the pandemic have been very faithful in paying their rent on time. I think there's a little give and take asking for 3 months myself, that you ask high, you settle for what you can get. I think they'll be happy with anything the board is willing to do to help them through this.
So they asked for, I'm sorry, come on, guys. They asked for 3 months, and you're saying just half of,
They asked for 3 months free rent,
right?
and I said
Give them half a month free rent for 3 months?
2 months. 2 months half rent. That's what I said. Well, I was just putting it out for discussion. But that, if you
You
want
making that as a form of motion?
I can
can
do
we
a motion.
discuss?
I make a motion that, but I would include Sunshine Rental, that we give the 4 rental, the
Well-
4 people.
Sunshine Rental is no more none because it's a new owner right now, so he's not requesting anything. They're not
My-
requesting anything. It's only from these 3 tenants.
I agree with
then-
Luann, though. I think that they will come back and ask.
Yeah, right.
I would. But I'm okay with the reduction in rent. I'm not okay with the full free rent because, as you said, two of the 3 businesses have been open through it with some income. But the barbershop had absolutely no income.
They were shut down for the
That was
whole-
my point too, Randy, yeah.
Yeah.
One hasn't been open at all.
At all. And I think that, if we're going to do it, and straight across the board, it's still it's a break for the other 2. I don't know how much of a break for Walter that is. The thing that I'm not okay with is the CAM, because our people still had to work and we still had to maintain the grounds. So that's kind of a core cost to us. I would say go with the 2 months at half rent, but only discount the rent and tax only. Not the CAM.
Randy, you want to repeat that motion again?
I would make a motion that we give them 2 months at half rent only, but not the CAM, not the common area maintenance.
Okay.
You're going to include Sunshine Rental, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I need a second.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Any other discussion on that motion?
Yeah. And I have no problem with that, Randy, but that doesn't that doesn't take in the point you made, I guess, about one business not being open at all. Is there anything we think we should do because of that? No?
It doesn't, Mike, and I don't know. I mean, I think the right thing might be to say Walter gets 2 months full, and the other two that were open. But yeah, I don't want to get into assessing people's business.
I was thinking almost along the lines of what you just said, but I'm not going to argue.
Yeah, it's hard not to feel bad for him, but on the other hand, just like Sunshine, if you don't, you have to treat them all the same, I think.
I mean, we are kind of all in this together. I mean, everybody's suffering right now financially, and so we need to share that burden a little bit with our tenants, I believe.
So is any other discussion on the motion? If none, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Next is the beach restroom engineering services. John?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, trustees. Previously, the board had awarded contract for construction and delivery of a prefabricated restroom. Prior to that happening, development of engineering specs and site plan amendment is required, which would enable us to then proceed with installation of septic tank drain field and removal of the existing building. This proposal in the amount of $25,650 accomplishes all that. As I was putting the agenda together last week, we got the curveball thrown at us that at the last minute, our engineering firm was able to verify that the Department of Environmental Protection and Coastal Construction Control Line permits will be required, which is not covered in this. There'll be an extra charge for that that's not known at this point. Since we saved $15,000 from not doing the Pool 2 canopy, that probably will more than offset that. Staff recommends the BOT approve the engineering services proposal from TLC at a cost of $25,650, and Mr. Getz and I can answer any questions you have.
Chair will entertain a motion.
So move.
I'll second that.
Second. Any discussion on this motion?
The only question I have, are we going to have to, when the other permits that we have to have, are we going to have to take a vote on that too, or can we add that just do the permits, pay the permits, or are we going to have to, you're going to have to come back to us to pay for them?
Your policy states 10%, or if it would substantially slow down the process. So I can have that conversation. If it's something that would substantially slow down the process, I can administratively approve it and put it on for confirmation.
Okay. Okay, because I don't want to slow it down. That's what I want to get it done.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next one is the settlement proposal, but I understand that that's been resolved.
That's been removed.
Oh, I'm ahead of myself. Pool two pit and replacement and upgrade. John, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman,
had
Mr.
that
Getz's
last time.
heart is beating fast, as long as hard as he's worked to get this on the agenda. In 2015, the Pool 2 pit, which is basically a big fiberglass tub, collapsed on one side, and staff did yeoman's work of digging down in dangerous conditions to temporarily patch it. Beginning in FY17, we have tried to find pool companies to replace this without any success, pausing in the fall because this ideally is a summer months project. To address this inability, late last year, the board authorized a request for qualifications, which Family Pools was awarded a continuing services contract, which means we don't have to go out for a second bid anymore. The last few months, Mr. Getz has worked with the Family Pool staff to develop this proposal, which is higher than budget, but it has several upgrades to it. That one is the filtration system is proposed to be upgraded to a system that has long-term savings built into it, changing the chlorination system into one where the product is easier to procure, and adding a UV treatment system to enhance the water quality. The proposal plus the cost the proposal, not including the cost of permitting, is $73,610.60, while the budget is $41,600. If you factor out the cost of the UV system, which is $15,000 plus the labor, it's within the ballpark. So therefore, the fact that this pool pit could have a catastrophic failure at any time, staff recommends the BOT approve the Pool Pit 2 replacement and upgrade proposal from Family Pools, Inc. in the amount of $73,610.60 plus permitting, and instruct staff to transfer the necessary funds from contingency to fully fund this project.
John, this because of that 14 or 15,000 extra, we're going to put the different thing there. That's going to improve this thing, because the longer we wait, the worse it could be. Okay, thank you.
Can I just say that we really need to do this? I mean, the Pool 2 has been under the gun for a long time. I know it's more money, but I think we really need to do this. It's something that, if we don't do it, then
Yes,
Pool
if
2
you
is
don't
going
do it,
to be shut down for a long
It's going to
time.
get worse, and it'll cost probably twice as much.
Well,
So-
not only that, but people are complaining about pools not being open now, and Pool 2 is going to be shut down for a long time if we don't do it.
It has to be done. So, okay, Chair will entertain a motion.
So I make a motion that we approve the pit work on Pool 2.
I'll second that.
Second by Randy. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All in favor of that motion with a voice? Mr. Mino?
Yes.
Luann? Roger?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Joe, yes. Motion is unanimous. Thank you.
Isn't that the pool you use, Luann? Isn't that the pool you use?
The last one is the settlement proposal. John or Mr. Repinger?
That item,
That's been deleted.
That's been-
can
yeah,
be,
because
can be
I know.
removed from the agenda. The matter was dismissed by Florida Commission on Human Relations with a no cause finding related to the claim. So the claim staff has been completely vindicated in the action. There's no need to discuss the settlement proposal.
Okay, thank you. Next is the DOR violation case, Mr. Armington?
If it's okay with General Counsel Repinger, may I open the conference call system for one time to see if anyone wants to represent any of these cases. Cliff?
Hold on a second.
I was proposing opening the conference call system to see if anybody wanted to represent any of these cases.
Yes.
Okay.
While we're talking, there's on the grass cutting, there's 14 that came into compliance and 21 are still non-compliance,
Those are all the grass.
and that's
Can
on
we-
the high grass.
Can we, Joe, can we right now put all the rest of the grass things together? Can we do that right now?
No, when the
You
time
just
comes,
did?
I'll
Is
do
that
it.
what you just did?
We're gonna make one motion on that.
Can I
When the
make it
time
now?
comes.
Can I make it now? I can't make it now. Well, I thought.
I'll let you
I
know
thought while
when.
we were doing nothing else, we could do that. but-
I can't.
These ones.
That's not Cliff, that's,
This is, okay, yeah,
that's
gotcha,
gonna go to property
gotcha,
services.
gotcha. So here you go. So here's what you do. Deal with the grass first.
Okay.
Say, okay, so we've got a number of them on grass, which is 10 through here,
Yeah.
and say the following have been removed. Blah, 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 blah,
Shouldn't I
blah.
just say which ones are not in compliance and need to be brought to property services? It'd be easier, because this could screw people up if I say what's not. If I say what is in violation, I feel better.
Either way,
Okay, let me do what's in
whatever you
violation.
feel better doing.
I feel better.
Say anything else has been complied.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It appears we don't have anybody calling in to represent any of the cases.
Good.
Go ahead.
Hang up.
Yeah, hang up. Nobody there, so no sense.
Rich Harmington, Resident Relations Manager. After talking to the General Counsel, I'm going to present the high grass cases first. Many of them have come into compliance, but these are the cases that have not come into compliance. I'll read the violation. Violation 20, 632, 401 Osprey. 20, 1202, 108 Hydrangea. 20, 1218, 800 Tamarind Circle. 20, 1207, 449 Dolphin Circle. 20, 1199, 200 Manatee Court. 20, 1222, 913 Pecan Circle. 20, 1220, 953 Cashew. 20, 1219, 851 Laurel Circle. 20, 1216, 1005 Ginger Lane. 20, 1227, 1012 Royal Palm Drive. 20, 1213, 1025 Oriole Circle. 20, 1224, 415 Plover. 20, 1223, 1103 Myrtle. 20, 1209, 1067 Wren Circle. 20, 1203, 707 Hyacinth Circle. 20, 1226, 1321 Barefoot Circle. 20, 1229, 1376 Barefoot Circle. 20, 1228, 1374 Barefoot Circle. I asked the BOT to refer these violations to property services to bring the property into compliance per Resolution 2015-17. If the BOT brings any such action to enforce a DOR, the charge for such action shall be charged to the respondent's account and shall constitute as a lien.
Chair will entertain a motion to make one motion on all these violations.
Yes, I'll make a motion that we consider all these in as one violation and authorize them all at once.
Okay. Roger made a motion. Need a second?
I'll second that.
Luann made a second. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Go ahead.
I had a question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Are these going to the attorney, or
No.
are they?
No, they're going for
Those
the
are-
grass
no.
cutting.
Property services.
Property
Okay.
service.
No. Hopefully half of those will be in compliance for Thursday, so I don't give them to Matt.
Any particular reason why there's so many of the grass all of a sudden?
It's rainy season, grass season. Right about now is when we start. People are going home, and the lawn services, instead of maybe cutting every 2 weeks,
they'll skip a week because the people aren't there to see what they're doing. But we can't take the chance. If I let it go for another 2 weeks, it could be 1.5 feet, 2 feet high.
But I guess my question was then how, so they have a lawn service, they go home, they're assuming the lawn service is taking care of their lawn, but they're not, and so we send them a violation letter.
And then
what are they
usually
supposed
they
to do
will call
about
the
it?
lawn service, and we'll get back into a regular rotation. And it's just it's an unfortunate byproduct of the DOR. It's just it is what it is.
Normally, you don't see these cases, the grass cases. The board does not. But because the violation committee is not meeting because of the COVID situation, these cases have to come to you to be addressed now in this format. But in most of the time, you're not seeing this many high
Very
grass
seldom will
cases.
you see these.
So if they're gone from here, roughly how long, you send them a letter, you tell them, so how long do you give them to take care of this, to call their lawn service?
I would say most of these have had at least 10 days.
Oh.
And they need to call us.
Yeah.
And if they call and say, we'll take care of it, we stop everything.
Okay.
That's all we ask for is a call.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, under regular violations, going to Cliff, I want to pull 20-000007 and 20-000-380. And now DOR violation 20, 1039, 414 Boulevard. Article 2, Section 2, no ARC permit, work is started. First violation, and by the way, General Counsel Reppinger already has 5 cases on this property. First violation occurred 4/27/2020. 3 follow-ups and pictures have been done since the first violation. Staff has signed affidavit of notices and attached pictures. Requested action is review the violation and referral to General Counsel Reppinger.
Do you want to do that next one?
Rich,
For that
can we do both of these violations as one motion?
What was that?
Can we do both these cases from that address as a one motion, or are they two separate?
No, one of them I pulled.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear you there. I'm sorry.
3.
There's 3?
Oh, I didn't.
2020 001110.
I don't see 0010.
001110.
Don't see it.
It's 414.
Not in my package.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's not in mine either.
Maybe it's not that. That may be a
No, 1110. I'm sorry, came into compliance
That's
before
in
the,
compliance.
they removed, he removed the,
Oh,
gazebo.
got ya.
I'm sorry.
See those two.
So there's only the one violation left for him.
Okay.
Sorry.
This property's been before this board so many times. Where are we in the legal process on this?
Hang on, and I'll tell you. Oops. Hold on.
John, is this the same property that is the flat patio with the inside outside furniture there?
No.
No, this is as you come in, to not use the best analogy, but this is right on the opposite side, right before where you get to the gorilla holding the beer bottle as you coming in. The unfortunate landmark.
Gotcha.
Hold on, give me 1 second. Hold on. We have the complaint drafted, but we're holding on the COVID thing, so that's where with the existing violations that we have. So this will be added to that draft. When we can file, we'll file and serve.
Okay.
Are you done, Rich?
I'm done.
Okay, need a motion?
I make a motion that we add this to the other violations.
Okay, any second?
Then,
I'll second it.
Any discussion on that motion?
How many complaints is this for that one property? I mean, just roughly. I don't know. You're looking it up, but I
Six
mean,
or so, six.
So
Rich is saying 6. I'm not going to doubt him on that.
Or seven or something, I don't.
that's fine.
Okay. And there was a motion. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you. Next one, Rich.
DOR violation 2547, 400 Osprey. Article 2, Section 5, unapproved fence. First violation occurred on 2/17/2020. 3 follow-ups and pictures have been done since the first violation. Staff has signed affidavit of notices and attached pictures. Staff requests review violation and referral to General Counsel by BOT.
Chair will entertain a motion.
what
Is
is
this
it?
fence unapproved because it didn't pull a permit?
Right.
I'll make the motion. We send it to council for discussion because I have the same questions too.
And I'll second that.
So my question is, I guess, with Randy is the same thing. So they put up a fence and they didn't get a permit. So what is the resolution to this? How do they solve that?
They got to pull it. They got to pull a permit
They just have to go and get a permit?
unless they can't get it permitted because of size.
They also need to have surveys. When you put a fence up, the county's involved. This house has, that's 400. They have 2 other violations General Counsel has, and we have one other violation that I would have brought today, but there was a clerical error in it. This house and the next one that I'm going to bring up are owned by the same people, and it's absolutely constant. And as a wise man told me, I haven't done everything I can do until I've done everything I can do, and now it's going to cliff. So that's all I can do. People won't work with us.
Do we know if they pulled a county permit on this?
They haven't.
Okay.
Have we involved the county? Is the county aware of this?
We haven't involved them yet. We're, needless to say, a little backed up on what we do.
Well, I don't want to see Cliff's kids miss a semester of college, but can we involve the county before we turn it to Cliff?
We can. Let me just mention real quick.
Yeah, I mean,
Our track record with that has not been the most successful. What has happened in the past is they will start putting fines on the property, and then some of these properties we end up later in the NRP program trying to buy, and we end up having to pay the county the fines that we instigated. This is a classic example of it's a relatively simple thing, but they just thumb their nose at us. And there's a hardcore small group of people who are doing this, like the previous one. And unfortunately, there's fine residents who live around this property who have to put up with multiple lawnmowers sitting in the side yard, and they keep their yards looking real nice. So at this point, I know Rich has tried everything he can with these people, and it's just not working at the level we have of options to us.
So again, Rich, for simplicity, I mean, this fence probably would have met all of our criteria. All they would have had to do was pull some permits.
That's
And
all
survey.
they had to.
And they just, and their point is no,
I'm
they're
not
not gonna
sure
do it.
how far it goes around the back.
I understand, but I mean,
it
they
probably
just simply
would meet our
refused to do
It
what
probably would meet it, yes.
Okay.
All they had to do was just pull a permit and been okay and giving out
there's-
the directions.
Mike, there's a lot
Okay,
of people
there
who
is a
do that.
motion on the
They
floor.
they just
But
refuse to.
if we don't violate them, then people will see it, or they'll hear us,
I have no
and
problem
they
with
will
it.
just
No
do
problem.
what they want to do.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Rich, next one.
I have 2 for the same address. I can do those both at once, Cliff, or?
Yes. Just call them out.
Okay, DOR violation 20-630, 401 Osprey. Condition of property, power wash. First violation occurred on 2/20/2020. We don't normally bring power washes because we have a resolution, but they won't let us on the property, so I have to bring this one to Attorney Reppinger. The next one would be DOR violation 20-631, 401 Osprey. Article 3, Section 2, condition of property, unauthorized items. First violation occurred on 2/20/2020. 3 follow-ups and pictures have been done since the first violation. I request that the BOT review the violations and refer to General Counsel Reppinger.
Rich, is that the one? Rich, is that the one that we went and looked at last week when you took the picture?
I believe it was with this. There's a lot more debris on the other side. I could have given you 8 pictures.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yes, it's just
on the corner of Osprey and Falcon.
totally
What?
ignored.
I'd make that motion.
Okay, I need a second.
Wait. Okay, I'll second it, but I want to ask something. Did when was the last time you looked at the house? Do you know?
Looked at the house?
Yeah. You know, when was the last time somebody drove by or whatever?
I went by there today, this morning.
Because I was in that neighborhood Sunday, and I thought they were out there washing the house. I mean, maybe they weren't power
They may
washing
have
it, but
washed
they were
part
washing
of it, but the biggest concern was on the right-hand side,
Okay.
and that's where it was the greenest.
Well, that's the side I
And-
was on. I thought they okay. They weren't. They were washing it. Maybe they weren't power
And we
washing it.
will be back out there, I believe, 7 days from today. Before we send the paperwork to Attorney Reppinger, we go out and do a follow-up before he gets it. Yeah, and it could possibly have been done, not on the right-hand side of the home.
Okay. There is a motion on the floor. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next.
The next 2 are for the same address also. DOR violation 19-5045, 901 Waterway. Condition of property, power wash. First violation occurred on 12/13/2019. 14 follow-ups and pictures have been done since the first violation. Next is DOR violation 20-184, 901 Waterway. Article 3, Section 2, the condition of property, unauthorized items. First violation occurred on 5/14/2020. 2 follow-ups and pictures have been done since the first violation. Requested action by the BOT is to review the violations and refer to General Counsel Reppinger.
Chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we send this to General Counsel.
Second.
Yeah, I'll second for discussion. I want to make a comment, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I've missed something, but I've sat in this room now for 4 years, and as a resident and now as a trustee, and I can't count how many of these things that we've sent to legal, to Mr. Reppinger, and I've yet to hear the final outcome. When these went before a judge or however the process ends, I've yet to hear that. And every time I second these or I say yes, I wonder to myself, is there a point to this? When are we going to get some feedback or some resolution on the 50, 60, or however many we've sent through?
We were starting that process as we got shut down by the court. So unfortunately, last time that we talked about it, that was the plan, was to, you saw those cases in that status. There have been some that have come into compliance. I can tell you that, but I mean, I can give you a status update from where we were at that time for the ones that came into compliance. But in terms of court action, court resolution, we're completely shut down as far as court resolutions right now. So the idea is to try to move them and get you that resolution.
We
that you're
need
looking
some
for.
court resolutions on these things to show people that there's something behind our code enforcement rules and guidelines.
Right.
And so far, we haven't shown the community that we can do a whole lot.
I can tell you that the last 3 cases that we filed on, I'm not sure if all 3 of them came into compliance. I can look that up before I speak under my report, but at least 2 of them did that we filed on. So the last 2 cases that we filed on did come into compliance.
And I think that's a really good point, that we do sit and we do approve these for general counsel. I would like to see some kind of, if quarterly or monthly or whatever is convenient or whatever is available, some type of report on where these are, whether they're in process, not just these, but kind of past information too, so that we know that what we're doing is effective, that we know that what we're giving Cliff is effective. They come into compliance because they are concerned they're going to go to court, or we actually end up having to go to court. I used to see where the old board, Cliff would bring back judgments from the courts where it'd be anywhere from $500 to $2,000, and we would waive that cost. So, or we would waive those, those costs to the homeowners. So, I'd kind of like to see where these are going.
I would say that would probably have to, I can give you a report of how many cases we have. I
Okay.
can give you a report of correspondences between Sally and Cliff, and pretty much Cliff will dictate as to what step they are in the legal process. Once they go to Cliff, I'm not out of the loop because he will call us for other paperwork. But I feel that when I turn them over to him, that's
No, the plan was to
charge.
give you more of a consistent update on where we were at as far as those compliance issues. But when this whole thing hit, it just kind of got put a little bit to the wayside because we weren't moving the cases. So, but I'll do a better job of at least telling you which ones from the last time we addressed it have come into compliance, because there have been some that have come into compliance since that time. And there are a couple of cost waiver cases that haven't been fully addressed. I mean, they've come into compliance, but they're not fully done yet, that you will be seeing as we kind of move along the
If we
line.
could get a list, I think whoever needs to supply that, I think a list to the board would be useful for us to see how many cases we've turned.
I'll get you that easily.
Okay, that'd be great.
Thank you.
If you look at the last time that we had the workshop, there was a document that I had sent out that had those cases on it, so I can resend that to you.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. There is a motion on the floor, so all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Rich. Next is the chairman's report. Community manager's report. I'm sorry.
I am not worthy to read that report, Mr. Chairman. ARC meeting on the 12th, 17 consent items were approved, 6 others were approved, 3 old business extensions were all approved. There was one this morning, but the busyness of the day, I didn't get the reports. Severance package, updated information, just in 19 eligible employees have elected to receive their compensation as of today. Golf course aerification will happen on Monday and Tuesday with the front and back nines. In-house temporary lake bank restoration will start next week. And as we reported, we're trying to up our safety measures. So starting last week, people who want to enter the pro shop will have their temperature scanned with a touchless thermometer. Those not wishing to have their temperature checked, staff will help them outside. Property services, Mr. Getz and his folks have been busy as ever. Not as long a list as in the past, but a lot of DOR violations they've cut, cleaning out growth, repairs to ABM break room to extend the life of replacing a pool valve and repainting the lines. We're happy to report there's we didn't paint around any dead animals, as you see on Facebook. And a few special updates. Staff gave feedback on Friday to the design team concerning the site plan. Stewart Medical proposal, Mr. Taylor told me late last week that he's looking for a design person to do the site plan. He hopes to get it to us by the 12th, but he's confident at least the second meeting in June. Mentioned that there's a possible agenda item coming about social membership appeal. The lounge, pool, restroom, re-roofing projects, all three of them started today with the tear-off. If anybody asks why they see things on top of the building A hallway roof, it's because that roof connects with the walkway and connects to the lounge, and instead of tearing up things going into the pool, we worked with the vendor and they loaded very light material on the top there, and they'll hand carry it there. Due to a technical difficulty with our live stream event, the Memorial Day ceremony did not have sound yesterday, nor did we have the old classic piano playing in it, but we do have audio, and once it's uploaded on our YouTube account, you can re-watch the event and listen to Chairman Klosky's speech as many times as you want. To facilitate a reopening planning meeting, staff will not be able to help anyone until 9:30 in the morning tomorrow morning. And lastly, as I've previously notified the trustees, due to the uncertainty with the ongoing pandemic and reopenings, staff has elected to shift the firework display to the backup date of Veterans Day, November the 11th this year, as compared to the original Sunday, July 5th. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions for John? None. Okay. Thank you, John. Mr. Reppinger.
None tonight. I will try between now and the next meeting to get you the update on all the DOR cases and where we're at.
Is that it? Wow. Okay, thank you. Incidental remarks? Randy?
Yeah, I would like to thank all of our staff that is currently still working, and especially Matt's group, for all of the improvements that they've been making around the bay. It really looks good. I can tell that they're working hard and getting a lot done, a lot of little cleanup stuff that is time-consuming and can't get done. So I think that when we do get things open up again, I think the homeowners are going to be very happy with what you've done. So that's my only thing I have to say is thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Roger?
Yeah, let me just address something that came up earlier in the meeting tonight, just very quickly. As a trustee, I routinely get various emails and messages and phone calls from people in the Bay, the residents of the Bay, especially as we get near to a meeting and there's issues on the agenda that have sparked the interest of the people in the Bay. So what I would ask the residents is that if I give you the benefit, and I'm sure all the trustees would second this, if I give you the benefit of my opinion or my position on something that's coming up, it's extremely important that you don't go to another trustee and say, well, here's what Trustee Compton is thinking. I don't want you to come to me and tell me what one of the other trustees are telling you, nor do I want you to go to one of them and tell them something that I've said. First of all, it's illegal. It's a violation of the sunshine laws, which our attorney mentioned earlier. It's called, it makes you a conduit. And secondly, it may be counterproductive to what you as a resident and I might be trying to achieve in the direction that we might be trying to go. So it's just not a good thing. And I'm asking those that I talk with and that I correspond with to please make an extra effort. There's nothing wrong with going to another trustee and asking the same opinion or asking the same question. But please do not take what I may have told you and share that as something that I have said to you. But I do appreciate those people who reach out to me and send those emails and ask me those questions. Otherwise, I'm operating in the dark. I enjoy hearing from people, and I enjoy finding out how they feel about things, because my intention is to serve the Bay and to represent the people and what the people in the Bay want.
Thank you, Roger. I do agree with that, and what you got. I'm pretty sure the rest of the board will agree with what you said. And I don't like if somebody calls me and tells me something. Well, certain trustees said this, and this is the way, this and now that, and right then and there, that kills everything, because it just cuts the vote out and everything. And I will not vote and put myself in that jeopardy of breaking the violation, the sunshine law and everything. That means that the rest of the board will do the same thing. They do not want to get involved and get in trouble. Thank you. Luann.
Hi. I want to just say a belated, I guess, thank you to all the veterans for the Memorial Day yesterday, which probably got rained out a lot of places. And I want to say a belated thank you to all the veterans, and ongoing thoughts and prayers for all the people who have been killed. And also thank you to everyone who played in Ernie's COVID Classic golf tournament. And also thanks to people who donated food and donated money. And I know that he sent a check, besides the food that was donated, he sent a check for over $2,000 to the food bank. And I just want to thank everybody who played in it. And that's all I just
Thank you, Luann. Mr. Mino.
Yes, not to beat a dead horse, but I know that some will be very happy with our decision to open up on the 8th, and others are going to be upset because we didn't open up sooner, and others are going to be even more upset because we're opening up at all. But I guess the thing I want everyone to understand and realize is that every one of us up here does what he or she thinks is in the best interest of the Bay. And we may get in disagreements and argue about how we do things, but I firmly believe that every one of the trustees up here is doing what they think is in the best interest. So people just have to, let us do our thing and go on, and we do the best we can.
Thank you, Mike. I just want to, regarding the property service, since the closing on March 16th to the present day, which is May 26th today, there were 78 different projects that have been completed by the property service. Plus, there could be some more projects that were never that John didn't report on because there was a big list and everything. But those 78 projects that were on that thing there, everything is completed, right? Just like in D&E, what they're doing with the floor here is going to look great when they're going to complete it. And I just want to say thank you to the property service for the great job that they have been doing these last couple of months. The next thing is, don't forget, turn in your evaluation reports in by the June the 8th, which would be, I think, a Monday, because if I receive it after the 8th, I cannot accept it. It will not accept it. So please turn them in by the 8th so I can make a report on it on the 12th of June, the next board meeting. And the next board meeting will be June 12th at Building D&D. Listen to me, Building D&E at 1 p.m. And that is all that I have to say, so I better quit while I'm ahead because I made a couple of mistakes, but that's okay. I need a motion to adjourn. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Steph, did you tell him I turned my evaluations in? Make sure he knows. I'm in, Joe.
As they say on the game show, big number, big number.
John, happy anniversary.